Hello, Saints. Welcome to another edition of A Breath of Life. Today, we're going to talk about focusing on the lesson and not the threat. As Christians, Jesus taught us that no matter what the situation or circumstance, there's no excuse not to exceed. To make the most of your circumstance or your situation, even the season that you're in, to bloom in any environment. Now, wait a minute, some of us may say, what if your supervisor is unfair, or the neighborhood that I live in is bad, or my environment is hostile or unproductive? Well, in Jesus' day, the social and religious system was unfair. And Nazareth, where he lived, where he grew up, was known as one of the worst cities there was. So much so that when the disciples heard that the Messiah grew up in Nazareth, Nathanael's response in John chapter 1, verse 46 was, "Can any good come out of Nazareth?" Yet, in Luke chapter 2, verse 40, he says Jesus grew and he became strong. That's talking about in the spiritual as well as the natural, proving that no matter where you are and what you're against, if you stay focused on and surrender to the Lord, you can still bloom and blossom. Another example of this is found in the book of Daniel. Here's a teenager who has been taken away from everything that he's ever known, his family, his home, his culture, all gone just like that. And yet, when asked to become a devoted follower of the king and a servant to an idolatrous culture, scripture says Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the king's delicacies. In other words, he refused to be bribed with the promise of a better life if it meant compromising his faith. Daniel was practicing Proverbs chapter 23 that says, when you sit down to eat with a ruler, consider what is before you and put a knife to your throat if you are a man given to appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. This kind of attitude allowed Daniel, this lowly Hebrew teenage slave who kept a godly perspective, to eventually rise to top advisor to the king. Again, proving that no matter where you start or what you're up against, if you remain steadfast in the Lord, you will accomplish his will. Psalm 75 verses 6 and 7 says, "For exaltation comes neither from the east, nor the west, nor the south, but God is the judge. He puts down one so that he can exalt another." Saints, I pray that these words will encourage you and that it will cause your heart to be lifted up as you continue to remain steadfast in the Lord. Keep your eyes on him, for he never takes his eyes off of you.